This video is a part 2 on the origins of the Minecraft religion of Cubism. Watch the first one or this one won't make much sense. Last we left off, the players of Horizonte found a divine bedrock cube under their town, raided it for its loot, and suffered its vanishing for their sins. They were left with a prophecy to take place in 66 days, but before the custodians of the cube could perform this ritual, the religion violently split in two, and whispers of a holy war were on everyone's lips. Everything you see here is a true story on the Stoneworks Minecraft server. You can join the server today at play.stoneworks.gg. Join the Discord down below, and if you want to donate or get the queue bypass, the store link is down below as well. The custodians of the cube in Horizonte and the Order of the Cube in Goldenvale were now officially split. Brad Braddington of Goldenvale had successfully made off with the Book of Prophecy that was left behind by the cube when it disappeared, but his rivals in Horizonte still held the Block of Prophecy, which he would need to complete the 66-day prophecy and return the cube to the world of Eldom. So he and his friends, BK God, Blocknut Boy, and Guard Ready, started plotting, and after some time had passed, they decided to send Guard Ready to Horizonte to earn their trust. It is at this point that the player Dark Drak becomes important. In his early days of the server, he worked as a merchant that traveled all around Eldom, so he was greatly familiar with Brad from Goldenvale, as well as Khan and Millie from Horizonte. He describes his descent into Cubism as the result of a miracle. When traveling in Horizonte one day, he visited the Void Hole as a curious oddity, but the Cubists there tried to get him into their human sacrifice cage, first by pushing his body, and then by trying to lure him in there with a fish. With no success from this, Dark Drak said he would do it so long as they asked nicely and he could keep his player head afterwards. So he got into the cage and he was plunged as a sacrifice into the void. But when Drak respawned in Horizonte, he was totally glitched out and he couldn't do anything, break any blocks, or open any doors, and the merchant tag that he had next to his player name was automatically reset. He took this as a sign that it was time to turn over a new leaf, and he confessed to the cube's divine power then and there. At this, he was miraculously fixed. He would over time work his way up among the custodians of the cube to being the head priest of the god Grigium. While he was working in Horizonte, he was suspicious of Guard Ready's presence there, but he kept quiet so as to not stir up any trouble. However, Dark Drak still held a good friendship with some of the players from Goldenvale. While in Goldenvale, he met the player Drianki, and the two hit it off, and soon, in-game, they were married. Funnily enough, and unbeknownst to Drak, Drianki was related to Brad, and so he found himself on the Goldenvale family tree. This is why you always meet the family before committing, folks. With his religious leaders in Horizonte and his father-in-law in Goldenvale, he saw his two communities gearing up to tear each other apart, gathering resources, going over strategies, and even starting to build defenses. But while this was going on, for a whole month, Guard Ready spent his time among the custodians, establishing his repertoire as a reliable member interested in studying the cube. And he even made a decent run to be elected as senator in Horizonte. On one fateful day, though, Guard Ready was able to convince one of the custodians to let him hold the Block of Prophecy, which Millie and Connor had kept hidden, so that he could write his book of Cubist study on it. He was guided to the vault below Connor's house, and having given up a netherite ingot as collateral, he was finally given the Block of Prophecy to hold and examine. But there he was trapped in the basement of Connor's house, with the doors closed that he couldn't open. So, he pulled a simple trick, and he told them that he needed to go get his book and quill to write down his notes. So Connor and the other custodian kept him tagged in combat so that he couldn't teleport away, per how the server mechanics work. But as soon as they let Guard Ready out of the house, he splashed himself with a potion of speed and leapt off the road into the water and flew away with his Riptide Trident, having successfully taken the Block of Prophecy. Brad and the Order of the Cube rejoiced at the heist, while Khan and the Custodians began gathering for war. Dark Drak witnessed this from both sides, and the most painful part was that he knew they each carried a burning passion for the cube and its worship, and worryingly, the 66th day was fast approaching. From reading Rewilder's holy texts, he knew that the cube wanted love and unity, and that war would get them nothing but anguish, loss, and the cube's disapproval. But it seemed like he had come to this too late. The custodians of the cube were prepared to fight. They gathered up their warriors and allies. With their greatest diamond and netherite gear, the custodians waited for the opportune time to declare their imminent holy war. Dark Drak watched nervously from the sidelines, and he frantically messaged Brad to respond to him and talk this out. It's here in our story where the sources get most frustratingly contradictory and vague. According to one side, the Order of the Cube sent bandits to Horizonte to scout and kill some of the lone players off in the army. And according to the other, the Custodians sent scouts to spy on Goldenvale, which were rightfully driven off by the warriors of the Order. Whatever happened though, players were dead. The first skirmishes of the Holy War had erupted, and Khan and Lily-Milly geared themselves up. They just about typed the command to start the invasion when Drak interceded, "Wait!" Brad says he'd agreed to meet one-on-one with Khan. Don't declare the war yet! Everything was put on hold. Khan thought about this for a long moment, and he agreed to talk. So Drak and Khan traveled alone up to Goldenvale. The two leaders were, of course, a bit suspicious of each other at first. They held their tense stance, but Dark Drak reminded them, "If you two leaders do not find a way to unite in purpose, the cube will not return, and the world will forever remain shadowed in our sins." So Brad placed the book and block of prophecy on the table, and Khan lifted Brad's banishment from Horizonte. In their devotion to the cube, everything smoothed out, and they were all chill once again. To honor this, they even buried a shovel to consecrate their reunification. They both called off their war preparations, and instead, they prepared for the rituals and sacrifices to restore the cube. And even though full-on holy war was avoided by the leader's intervention, this all was only if the cube forgave them for all their misdeeds, for it was surely watching all of this unfold. On the 66th day since the disappearance of the cube, the Order of the Cube and the Custodians came together, now simply united as cubists. The priests of the gods performed elaborate rituals and prayers. Rewilder stepped up in the temple altar, and he invoked the god of creation, Creo. "O Creo, you that created these lands, please hear my prayer to you. Please hear us and let us reunite with the cube. Purge our sins of greed and make us humble once again. This world you have made shall not fall into chaos and disrepair. Show us the way in which all things are created, and give us the knowledge that you hold. May your creation live long, and your creatures within it prosper. Their wisdom grows with time, and one day becomes enlightened like you. Glory to you who made the earth and built upon it your loyal creatures. Glory to you who gave us the opportunity of life. Glory to you, Creo, creator of many things." And then the priest Dark Drak spoke, invoking Greejum, the god of balance. Greejum brought the balance into this world, but we have betrayed him, erring on the path of greed. People should not take more than what they give. Such is the rule that has often been told. 66 days ago, the cube was taken away. To restore the balance that we have selfishly swayed, we shall prove that we have bettered ourselves today. May the cube accept our sacrifices and forgive our mistakes. This was accompanied by other prayers from the high priests, Connor L6, Jean Rulunlong, and BK God, as well as the variety of players who were there for the most important events of the cube. all of these cubists spoke into the empty void before dropping the sacrifice of llamas, farm animals, the wealth of kings, and players themselves into the dark below. As they sacrificed the last ingredient of the prophecy, every light in the temple broke, and they were cast in darkness. There was silence as they waited to see what would happen. Suddenly, the temple platform burst into flaming glowstone, and then into lava. The priests there caught fire, but they did not suffer a single burn. The worshippers escaped onto the side platforms, and just as it was clear, lightning struck every player of the world, and in the violent thunder, the cube reappeared in all of its glory, floating fixed above the void. The players praised it in its magnificence, and with their holy words of praise, it started growing. First, it killed and ate a llama fixed to the side, then the parapets of the altar, and then it grew until it devoured the temple walls and collapsed the complex around them. The worshippers fled into the antechamber, where the cube pressed them against the wall, and then it spoke to them.
The prophecy is fulfilled. The cube is returned. It is time for the faithful to harvest their rewards.
And so the worshippers heaped onto it great deals of praise. The cube, in all of its grace, then opened up a small chamber into its depths once again, and this time there was a spherical room filled with loot for the worshippers to take. As they came and rejoiced within it, a small version of the cube formed above them, and it spoke to them of mercy, friendship, forgiveness, and peace. And so the prophecy was fulfilled, and cubism was forever marked as one of the great faiths of Eldom, born from sins, conflict, sacrifice, and forgiveness. Now, as always, praise the cube. But hold your horses. This video and the entire world of Eldom is not possible without the help of Argon Hosting, the people that actually host my Minecraft server. Our server can support huge battles with hundreds of players and massive divine revelations and displays, things that other Minecraft hosts could only dream of supporting. So obviously Argon Hosting is the very best. They provide reliable and high-performance server hosting at an affordable rate. It's built by community-oriented developers that give space for both new and veteran server owners. You can ask your questions and receive the support that you need to make your server successful. My server and this content would not be possible without them, literally. So a huge thank you and a big, fat, wet kiss to Argon Hosting. And a huge shout out to the awesome patrons out there. XIV, Kenny Vetter, Bag Ofetocine, Ben McFarlane, Ian Openshaw, Inspector Javert, RC Ace, Rowan DeWitt, Travis, Typhoon, and Ben Snow. Y'all are the goats and you're so cool, the real Stoneworks fam who makes this kind of stuff possible. Thank you so much for your support. More content to come soon.